But the Tic Tac cannot be explained that easily. Recently, actually, there was a YouTube video by a Professor Simon who was like, oh, Tic Tac, that was the Lockheed Martin device. And I'm like, really?
Well, what's his name came out and said it's undeniably 100% Lockheed Martin technology.
Yeah, Ross Coulthart
said that, yeah.
Yeah, and that interesting. So they didn't read Kevin's paper that shows it had accelerations beyond human capability. I mean, like, there are published papers by me, by my friend Kevin, showing that's not possible. And everyone conveniently pretends they don't exist.
Why couldn't it be possible that there couldn't have been some, if there's some sort of physics that was went dark in the 50s and they've been working on it ever since, and they've been developing it, and when they wanted to test it against like our Navy fighters, wouldn't that, even if there wasn't humans in there, that wouldn't be like liquefied moving around? Couldn't they? Isn't it? Great question.
You got to read Kevin's paper. It's because even if it was unmanned, at the accelerations that Kevin has calculated, there doesn't exist a material that could withstand that. It would just be crushed. Like, and I know what you're going to say. Oh, some breakaway civilization. No, you don't understand. There's literally against the laws of all physics.
Yeah, but what if the material isn't actually going against air like that?
Yeah.
What
if
it's like creating a cavity, a cavitational type
Doesn't
thing?
Doesn't matter. These are simple, basic laws of physics we've known for centuries. This is one of the points of Kevin's paper, is the accelerations are not possible. They would destroy any material. I don't care if it's in air. I don't care if it's in vacuum. And conveniently, everyone who spouts off, they think they have figured out the Tic Tac. They all pretend that Kevin's work and my work doesn't exist. They don't read it. They don't. In fact, did you know I have proof that Sean Kirkpatrick lied under oath and nobody's listening to me? No news media outlet would carry this story for me. I said I can prove it. Nobody listened to me.
How do you prove it?
So here's what happened. What happened was, this might be the first time I'm saying it on a podcast, but I don't care. I'll get in trouble, but whatever. I'm just sick and tired of all the lies and the obfuscation. During one of the hearings, former head of Aero, Sean Kirkpatrick, said to Senator Gillibrand, to her face, under oath, it was one of those mini hearings. There was like almost nobody there. It wasn't the full Congress, I think. It was just Sean Kirkpatrick, Senator Gillibrand, and a few people. Okay, it was like a subcommittee meeting of some kind. He said, I'm going to paraphrase, but I wrote down the exact quote, of course. He said something like, there are no published scientific papers claiming that the Tic Tac encounter might have been aliens. And then he sneers. He laughs like, and if you think otherwise, you're welcome to publish. We already published a paper. Kevin did. So can we go back to knuth.lab.org and I'll show you the paper? This is many years old already now.
Okay.
It's a paper published, estimating the flight characteristics of anomalous air
Maybe he
vehicles.
just wasn't aware of it.
I know you're going to say that. But so then he's ignorant and he's not good at his job.
Sure.
He's the head of Aero. But what if I could tell you, what if I told you that's not the case? Because I told him about it. So Kevin and I, UAPX, we were told not to talk about it, but you know what, screw them. I'm so sick of these people. We actually talked to Aero. We had a Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or whatever, or Zoom or whatever the hell software. We met with them. We actually talked to them, and we actually brought up Kevin's paper, and it's like, look, it turns out in the Nimitz encounter, these accelerations, if you apply them to interstellar craft, these would be good interstellar craft. You could cross the galaxy in a few months. And we told Sean Kirkpatrick. I heard his voice. He asked me a question. I know Sean Kirkpatrick was on the call.
Wow.
And so you're not going to tell me he didn't know. So either he didn't know, in which case he's ignorant of facts that he needs for his job. Fortunately, he's not head anymore of Aero. Number two, okay, then, or he's lying or he forgot conveniently, okay? So you're right. I can't prove he's lying, but he's either lying, ignorant, or forgetful. Which of those is the better option? All of those options are bad. But anyway, he's aware of this paper. Could you go back to, could you please click on a UAP library again like last time? So Sean Kirkpatrick knew about this paper because we told him about it. We're like, oh, and Kevin has written this great paper. In this paper, which Ross Coulthart has conveniently forgotten exists, because he knows about it too, because I've talked to Ross, Kevin's talked to him. In it, Kevin and his friends, Robert and Peter from the scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, SCU, they show that the Nimitz encounter demonstrates velocities, accelerations beyond human capabilities. And Mick West poo-poos this. He says it's BS, it's a jet or a seagull or whatever, the usual. This is a scientific paper.
Wow.
It passed peer review. But then you know what the critics say? Oh, it doesn't count. You know why it doesn't count? Oh, Kevin's the editor of the journal. He's not the only editor. He recused himself. And that's what they always say. My crash paper, that doesn't count. That's in limina. It's a UFO journal. You know, it's the one paper they can't say doesn't count. Kevin's history of UFO studies is in Progress in Aerospace Sciences. That's a major journal. And my paper on the UAPX results is also Progress Aerospace Sciences. But yeah, basically skeptics always find a way to pretend that this doesn't count, that these facts, these numbers, these results are wrong or they don't count.
Right.
But what's really incredible to me is like the past week, I hear all this nonsense that the Tic Tac was Lockheed Martin. People, why are they not reading the facts? Like Kevin did a study, SCU did a study of this, and it shows that this is incredible. Let's now take the perspective of like, I'm very skeptical, but let's take your perspective. Let's say, it's not alien, some super advanced tech. Then I got some questions. Okay. Number one, why isn't David Fravor, Top Gun Academy pilot, why isn't he flying it? Why are we still wasting time with F-16s if we have this?
Because it has to be kept secret,
Why?
super classified.
But why don't we then? Okay, I have another answer for that. Then I've had this same conversation multiple times. Why did we lose Afghanistan? Why has America lost every single war it's been in since World War II? If we had this, we should be flying this shit around. We should be going to Ukraine, bailing out Ukraine.
It's not worth deploying in those types of things. We don't give a fuck about the people in Ukraine or Afghanistan. All those wars are just about money and extracting oil.
That's a fair point.
So I don't think that they would plan on.
But that makes me angry. Makes me angry.
Yeah.
Because if we have this technology, I want America to use it to win every war. We're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So it makes me mad. As a taxpayer, if I paid for that shit, it needs to be used, not just hidden away.
Yeah, no, I think possibly one of the reasons for the information coming out about this stuff and this becoming more public in the media could be some sort of a deterrence, some sort of a subliminal message to other countries who probably are working on very similar things.
Oh yeah,
to let them know that we have it. In the case that there ever is some sort of an existential crisis that would bring a war to American soil.
I have an answer to that. We don't need it. Why would we need Tic Tac? We have nukes already. We already have the best thing that could annihilate cities in seconds. I don't understand what the point is.
Yeah, nukes. The problem with nukes is that everybody has nukes, and as soon as a nuke gets launched, it's likely just going to be Armageddon. And I think everybody knows that. I know,
but then it's the same thing with the Tic Tac technology, because you can use that to drop a nuke.
Yeah, but if you have the Tic Tac technology, who knows what that could be used for? I don't know how it can be used for weapons, but I think that, again, this is all conjecture. I don't know what possible weapon systems could be deployed using these things, but the fact is it's super advanced tech and it's scary. And to let people, people can use their imaginations. If you have these things that can travel from one point to another in an instant, what type of weapons do you actually have? And, we have deterrence with nukes. We not only do we have, not only is there's 9 nations that are armed with nukes, and we have, systems like the Star Wars things and like these laser things and on satellites that
didn't you have Annie Jacobson on the show?
Yeah. And that could potentially take out nuclear warheads when they enter the atmosphere. I'm terrified at the idea of nuclear war, but I think that there's other things that we're developing that we don't know about that we'll probably maybe learn about in the next 20 years. DARPA's been historically working on things that never come out into the public for at least 20 to 30 years. For example, like Neuralink. They've been working on brain chips for soldiers since the early 90s.
All that's going to collapse now, because Doge has cut everything basically. So no, I'm dead serious.
Doge
funding is being cut left and right.
Doge is taking funding out of things like IRS, HHS, so
and my dark matter originally, but they restored it.
Elon was behind Doge, but Elon gets all his money from the Pentagon, where there is a $21 trillion black hole.
Oh yeah,
that's been going to things. So I don't think he's attacking the Pentagon. The Pentagon just got his budget increased to $1 trillion.
Oh, I know. I was kidding. I was just kidding.
Right.
But my point earlier was that the thing is, you can't keep secrets forever because scientists are clever, curious people. Things get accidentally rediscovered. It happens all the time.
I think it's most likely that if whatever these UFOs are, they're already here. I don't think they necessarily came from. I mean, I think it's possible they came from like other galaxies, if you want to say that. But I think the most likely explanation, and I think the vast majority of them have been here for a long time, and they're just they're like how we are to ants. They just they exist here on a higher plane, and they've probably been here, whether it's under the oceans or somewhere. They manage to be undetectable unless they really want to be.
It's possible. It's possible. That's what Kevin says, that they're already here. It's entirely possible. But yeah, I wouldn't say they're from other galaxies. That's too far away. Other planets,
especially when you have accounts of these things like coming out of oceans and stuff. Back into antiquity.
Yeah. Well, the oceans are a great place to hide. That's what my friend Kevin says. And also, you have to keep in mind. Let's speculate. This is Kevin's idea, not mine. Full credit to him. He suggests that water is pretty safe because no matter where you are in the universe, water can only be a liquid in a very narrow, limited range of temperature and pressure. So if you're an extraterrestrial from somewhere else, you know what to expect with water. Air can be different. Atmospheric compositions can differ wildly.
Yes.
Water is water everywhere in the galaxy, everywhere in the universe. Water is water. Because it exists as a liquid only in a limited in most of the universe, water's either a gas or a solid. It only exists as a liquid in a very limited temperature and pressure range.
Very narrow temperature
and
range.
so if you're used to water, you can go find another water planet.
Yes.
That's Kevin's idea.
Oh, wow. Yes, and so I forgot he told me that.
Exactly. And so he thinks that's the connection. That's why UFOs are often seen around water and near water, coming out of water, going into water. I have to say it's an absolutely fascinating idea. And my friend Kevin has also published a paper that suggests that if we've been discovered by extraterrestrials, on average, he ran a giant computer simulation of the galaxy, and he suggests that if Earth was discovered randomly, then the most probable time that happened was 1.1 million years ago.
Why?
There is no why. He just ran a computer simulation.
Oh, that's just like the computer
he
said
just put all the factors into the computer simulation. That would be like asking ChatGPT, why did you just say that?
It didn't give any sort of like reasoning behind it at all?
Yeah, the reasoning's all in his scientific paper. There is no one-liner way to explain it because it's all the factors. How many habitable planets are there in the galaxy? How big the galaxy is? How fast they're going? Like, there's like literally dozens of factors that went into the calculation. So this is not it's not some cut and dry thing where there's like a
Is there a way we can find the paper online?
Absolutely.
See if you can find it.
If you go to knuthlab.org, KNUTHLAB.org, I'll point you to this paper by my friend Kevin.
Steve, see if you can find it.
He didn't bring it up when he was on the show.
He probably did, but it's been a while.
Yeah, this is my friend Kevin's website. Yeah, my good colleague Kevin. I think it would be under UAPs and technosignatures. Click there. No, you're going too far. Left. UAPs
Steve,
and technosignatures. You're like right there. Yeah. Okay, scroll down to Oh, sorry, it's not there. I'm sorry. Go back. He must not have populated it there yet. Scroll down slowly from on the main page. Let's see if we can find it here.
Was there a search?
No, this is his private website, so it's not like perfect.
Gotcha.
It's definitely here. So just bear with me a moment. I know he's got it here somewhere. Click maybe current projects. Try that. Try current projects. It's right there.
Right
current
there,
projects.
Steve.
Yeah.
Boom. Foundations, astrophysics, cyberphysics, Bayesian data.
No, it's not here either. Oh, there it is. UAP library on the left. UAP library. Left.
Very left column, Steve.
Left column. Yeah, UAP library. Go there. There's my paper.
Okay.
And there's Kevin's history of UFOs. There it is. Simulating the characteristics. That's the one we were just discussing.
Okay, cool.
So in that
this
paper,
is the one that says 1.1 million years ago.
On average, but with a huge error bar. But basically what's really interesting about that result is it seems to suggest that whoever they are they've been here a long time.
Right.
Like you just said. But here's
well, maybe they evolved here.
That's possible too. There's Hal Puthoff has a paper on this called the Ultraterrestrial model or hypothesis. Yeah, absolutely. It's another possibility.
Yeah, it's totally possible that they go back to it, Steve.
Remember, we don't.
I want to read the abstract of it. It is generally believed that it is unlikely that our civilization is alone in the galaxy. This belief is central to the premise of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. SETI, which has focused mainly on searching for radio signals or originating from extraterrestrial communication, since it is believed that extraterrestrial craft visiting Earth would be an extremely unlikely event. However, the fact that we ourselves are currently working on developing probes to send to the Alpha Centauri system by 2069 strongly suggests our expectations by considering...
Oh, you skipped a line.
Oh.
Strongly suggests that,
other civilizations may make similar or more ambitious efforts. Therefore, it is reasonable to inform civilizations to inform our expectations by considering what characters. Can you zoom in a little bit, bro? There we go. Considering what characteristics and capabilities would be required for an interstellar civilization to find or visit Earth. In this paper, the physics-based analytic model of expanding interstellar civilizations is developed. A million civilizations that encounter Earth are simulated, and their statistics are studied to determine their characteristics.
There you have it. One of the characteristics that he found is that if Earth is found, it was probably found a long time ago. And that's because the galaxy is over 13 billion years old. That's a mind-boggling amount of time.
Right.
So if you had a civilization evolve early on, a long time ago, can you imagine how much more advanced they'd be than we are today? Like we can't even guess technology 100,000 years from now. Imagine a civilization that's been around for millions or billions of years. We can't even fathom what that would look like, what they would look like.
Right.
You know, it might be incommensurate with our understanding.
Right. Well, even the idea that it could have been us, like that version of us could have evolved and gotten so advanced.
Yes.
And there could have been some sort of breakaway civilization that either went under the oceans or to the moon or to another planet in our solar system.
Yeah. Kevin and I call that the Wakanda hypothesis.
Yeah. And then they came back after things settled down. You know, maybe there was thousands of years of instability here, you know.
Maybe.
You know, or like an ice age or whatever. And then,
well, another thing that's possible is if you're familiar with the work of Professor Mike Masters, Montana State.
Oh yeah, of course.
He thinks
time travel.
Yeah, he thinks it's not aliens; it's humans from the future.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. So the fact is we don't know. We don't know, but it's fun to speculate. But for me, it's even more fun to try to go find the answer.
Well, one of the biggest pieces of evidence that this could have been humans or people that lived here and this was their home are things like the pyramids and things like, you know,
why are they so perfect?
These types of things. These are made. This is a 3D model of a red granite vase that was measured in a Rolls-Royce light scanner at Rolls-Royce Aerospace, and they found out it's perfectly symmetrical from top to bottom on each side within less than a deviation of like 1/1000th of a human hair. This couldn't even be made on a fucking CNC machine today. And it was made allegedly 4000 BC.
And there's all kinds of stuff on Ancient Aliens, Puma Punku, and all the crazy, straight lines and stuff.
So they were obviously on a trajectory that we can't even fathom. Like they weren't doing the same. They weren't making things the same way we make things today. Because with our tools, there's no way and we have no reason to make stuff like this either, right? So
we do have one reason. So actually, the most precise object ever created by humans was a ball that was used on Gravity Probe B to test Einstein's theory of general relativity. That ball was so perfect that I think it was off by way better than what you just quoted. It was like one atom off maximum in one direction. So if the Earth was that perfect of a ball, I think the Earth would have like one hill the size of this desk or something. Like it was a perfect ball. It was necessary for this gravity experiment in the 90s or I think early 2000s. So nowadays we have this technology. Did we have that in 4000 BC? Right? It's like, so it's interesting. But remember earlier how I said technology, it doesn't just always improve.
How much do you know about like what was going on with physics research in the 50s, I think it was, with like this gravity research that like went dark and supposedly like went underground.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this. I have a very controversial take on it. You're not gonna like.
I love controversial takes.
I think it went dark because it doesn't work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
have you looked into Thomas Townsend Brown?
Yes, I have. What
do you make of him?
If there were actual revolutionary ideas that worked, they would have been reproduced already. You can't keep science dark forever because someone else would accidentally stumble upon the same idea. So like, let's say, for example, let's say you suppressed Einstein and tried to stop relativity. Let's say you were a time traveler and for whatever reason you wanted to stop human advancement, kind of like in the three-body problem, right? You're familiar with the, let's say you wanted to stop Einstein. Wouldn't have worked. Because Minkowski would have come up with relativity. Or if not Minkowski, then Poincaré was very close to relativity. And so you can't stop an entire field of research and ideas because someone else would accidentally stumble upon it. It might take decades. Don't get me wrong. Well, it might take decades.
Well, it could very plausibly, what could have happened was if they could have been monitoring everybody who's been even getting remotely close to it and then pulling them in through time.
It's possible. But I'm skeptical. And the reason is because conspiracies would fall apart eventually. I'll give you an example. So for a long time, astronomers developed something for our new telescopes, for the ground-based ones. You know, we were talking about James Webb. There's also ground-based telescopes, like a Giant Magellan Telescope.
Yep.
So we developed...
What's the other one, the Subaru? Is there one called Subaru?
Not that I know of.
Like it's in like the South Pole or something?
But yeah, I'm not an astronomer, so unfortunately I don't know the names of all the telescopes. But so for the Giant Magellan Telescope and for other telescopes like it, we're using something called adaptive optics. So what adaptive optics is where you cancel out the twinkling of stars and astronomical objects. The way you do that is you fire a laser into the sky and you use that laser as your calibration of the, you know, like the thermal convection and like the atmospheric aberration. That's a way to get as good or almost as good or even better images from the ground as from outer space. Saves money, right? You still need space-based telescopes like James Webb, Vera Rubin, right? But when astronomers invented adaptive optics, guess what happened? The U.S. Navy said, oh yeah, we developed that 30 years ago.
Right.
It was secret. So yeah, things like this can happen, but my point is they can't last forever. Sure. So there's hope. There's hope. So even if there was anti-gravity, but also I don't even understand what anti-gravity means. And I have good friends who research this. I have good friends in Falcon space and Flux space, Mark Sokol, Jared Yates, Tim Ventura, a lot of these guys in APEC, the Alternative Propulsion Engineering Conference. I'm good friends with these guys. But the thing is, I think they appreciate my skepticism with them, and we go back and forth. I told them, look, anti-gravity already exists. It's called, you know, a superconductor or a magnet, a repelling magnet. Like, as a physicist, I don't even know what that word is supposed to mean because to me, we already have anti-gravity. I can do it right now. An airplane is anti-gravity. It uses Bernoulli's principle, Newton's third law. So, like, I don't even know what that word's supposed to mean anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that, like, there are forces. This is Physics 1. This is Physics 101 textbook physics. I can take forces and I can cancel them out. That's Physics 101. If I have gravity pulling me down, I create an equal opposite force the other way. Like, this is centuries old physics. So I'm not sure, like, when people use the term anti-gravity, they mean some magical thing we haven't thought of yet. When I think of it, I'm like, but we already have anti-gravity. We have airplanes, we have magnets. So I don't.
Well, I mean, I'm not the kind of person to describe this to you, but a lot of people have been on the show and described how, and been on other podcasts as well, and explained theoretically, you know, how this would work. And there's been lots of experiments to try to do it. I know,
and the experiments all fail. Well, so I'm friends with Mark Sokol and Jared Yates. You should have one of them on the show, actually. Both they've been laughed at as crackpots. They've been insulted by people. I love these guys. They're not crackpots. You know what they do? They take every crazy idea and they're like, hey, what if that anti-gravity idea is true? They test it. Doesn't work.
Have you ever heard of Jack Sarfati?
Yes, I can't stand him. I will do anything for him.
That's shocking.
For him to get off his email list. If it means I have to tell him now on this show that he's the best physicist who ever lived, I will do anything to get off his email list.
What do you think about his theories of like warp drive?
I cannot say.
Stuff? Have you looked into it?
I have thoroughly. I cannot say because he'll threaten to sue me for libel. He already has, and I just don't want to deal with that. Because look, I have a wife and who doesn't work. I have 4 kids. I already take huge risks working on UFOs. There's a stigma.
Sarfati's not going to.
I don't think he has the money to do so. But still, I'm also going to get an angry email. If I tell him what I actually think about him right now on the show, I'll get an angry
It's just
email
an
from
email.
him.
Who cares?
Okay, if he was right about this stuff that he's doing, he could go to Home Depot and do it. He claims he can warp space-time with a 9-volt battery. Go do it. Do it right now. Prove it to everybody. So, like, I cannot stand Jack. He just spouts theories with no experimental evidence.
Do you know what the Byfield-Brown effect is and how it works?
Yes. Yes, I do.
So do you know that
It's a great effect, and it's real.
we can do it? Right?
Yes, we can. But there's no new physics there.
So for people who don't know, can you explain what it is? Like, can you distill it down to something that's easy to understand?
Yes, absolutely. It's when you can. So there is a way, and they tested this on MythBusters as well, and it works. What you can do is using high voltage, you can ionize the air, and that produces a force that counteracts the force of gravity and allows you to have an aircraft or airship that floats in the air. There's no new physics involved. It's just engineering.
Okay.
It's just new engineering.
Right.
So people...
This is like ion wind, right?
Yeah, exactly. People worship this effect as if it's magic. It's not magic. It's well-known physics that's been around for decades. It's cool. It's a cool trick. And we could have ships that capitalize it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing weird about that at all. We might have some Black Ops project that uses it. Absolutely.
Well, the
Absolutely.
B-2 bombers are coated in like something. They're covered, not the B-2, the stealth bombers. The B-2 stealth planes, they have this sort of a like a skin on them.
Yeah.
That's supposed to have some sort of an extra ion wind uplift.
It's entirely possible. But here's the thing.
Steve, can you, by the way,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt real
Yeah.
quick. Steve, can you find that video that we had Jeremy show us of the, yeah, there we go.
Oh,
Do you know what this is? How's this working? This is in a vacuum.
I'm there. I'm off camera during this.
Are you really?
I was visiting Falcon Space during this test. Yes.
No way.
Mark Sokol's my friend at Falcon Space. This is what I'm trying to tell you, is Mark is one of those guys who tests every crazy idea. Occasionally the idea works. This is an idea that actually works. The vast majority of anti-gravity ideas are garbage.
So what is?
nonsense.
Can you explain this?
So can you zoom out so I can refresh my memory?
This is the frame of the video.
No, just the description of the video. Yeah, so Byfield-Brown effect. So basically...
In a vacuum chamber.
Yeah, so basically, but what's weird here is you should need air for the effect to work.
Right.
And so that what's really interesting here is it seems to be working without air, where you're getting propulsion from electricity, but in a high vacuum. And that's interesting. That's very interesting. It could suggest something. Now, and I said this to Mark. I told you I'm good friends with Mark, but we get in fights and arguments. I tell him, look, it rotates. Prove it better to me. Show it taking off. He can't because, well, he's cramped in his lab.
Right.
He can't just make it take off in one direction. So I'm not convinced it will be useful for outer space.
Wow,
Sure,
it feels like it looks like it's ramping up there.
yeah, he's tuning the
it.
voltage.
I see.
But yeah, I was literally there during the test. One of these tests, at least. I don't know for the YouTube video one, but yeah, Mark is a great guy, and what he's doing is he tests all these crazy anti-gravity ideas.
So how could you theoretically test this on make this bigger and make this something that's
What I would do is try to send it in a straight line instead of rotating. He's got it rotating because he's got a tight space, in his lab. I would send it in a straight line because the reason is, in physics, there's a difference between angular momentum and linear momentum. So just because something can spin on its own without a propellant doesn't mean it can go straight on its own. Those two things are not necessarily equivalent. But you have to understand. So another thing I would do is pull even higher vacuum, because I'm wondering if there's residual air. You can never get, there's no such thing as a perfect vacuum. I'm wondering if it's ionizing the residual air in there. Mark says no. Like I said, I've had back and forth with him. But see, this is the difference between theory and experiment. Right. Anyone can come on a podcast with their grand anti-gravity theory, but these are the guys who are trying to make it a reality. People like Mark at Falcon Space. Right. They're actually trying to make something happen. Mark will be the first person to tell you this. The vast majority of the ideas he tests, garbage. They're nonsense. Occasionally, though, he gets something promising. But the vast majority of anti-gravity theories are wrong. Well, they're self-contradictory, right? You've got dozens of people say, oh, it's this effect, it's that effect. It can't be, is it going to be all of those effects? And so occasionally, though, you hit upon something that looks promising, like this, like in this case with the Byfield-Brown effect. I have very little doubt. I'm sure we have Black Ops, planes that use something like this. Absolutely. But to me, this is not new science. This is new engineering. There's a big difference. So this is a beautiful example of the difference between science and engineering. I'll give you another one like this. Take a guess what year it was when humans finally understood how to make airplanes. Take a guess. Like understood how theoretically. Theoretically.
1800s? 1700s?
Earlier.
Really?
1687. Newton's physics.
1687.
Once we had Newton's physics, we knew how to make airplanes. So my question to you is, what the hell took humanity so long to do it?
Right.
You know what the answer is? Engineering. So there's a difference between physics and a difference between engineering.
Yeah.
We have Einstein's theory of relativity.
And then how come we can't make better planes? How come we use the same planes as we've been using since the 50s?
We've been using the same planes for decades.
Yeah.
Did you know that when we canceled the Concorde, that was the first time in human history that technology has gone backwards instead of forwards?
Well, also you could argue the Apollo program as well.
But it's around the same time. Apollo wasn't canceled yet. So no, my statement still stands. Apollo was still doing multiple missions in the 70s.
Well, they
was not canceled yet.
After 72, they completely
so it's around the same time.
If you ask ChatGPT what happened to the Apollo technology, it will tell you that NASA's official statement was they accidentally overwrote the hard drives with all the data. So we accidentally erased it all. Sorry.
So Apollo's another example, but let me go back to my Concorde example because it affects our daily lives.
Yes. Sorry to derail you.
No, it's okay. For the first time in human history, it took more time to cross the Atlantic or Pacific instead of less.
Wow.
Do you realize I get so angry with everybody who tells me technology, it improves exponentially.
Right.
Bullshit. If it actually improved exponentially, I could get on a plane right now and in 5 minutes I'd be home in New York. If technology improved exponentially.
Right.
Why aren't airplanes improving exponentially? I'll tell you why. It's because of economics. It's because of practicality, what people will pay for. And so that's why I'm not going to completely dismiss. I'm skeptical, but I'm open to the possibility that there's some secret anti-gravity program. You know why? Because it would upset the apple cart of all the airlines are suddenly out of business, right? Right?
Yeah, totally.
People on your podcast have said the same thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know.
Well, also these companies, they control every. They have a monopoly on what they do, like the Boeing and these companies. Yes. And not only that, but
it's worse than that.
They literally own Congress, right?
It's worse than that. They pretend not to have a monopoly. Do you know what the trick is?
Kill people.
No. Well, sometimes in extreme cases, I'm sure.
How many Boeing whistleblowers accidentally committed?
No. Like, you're right. That happens too, but that's not where I was going. But you're right. And in Russia, you have an unfortunate window accidents. That's how they do you in Russia. Yeah. Or you find polonium in your borscht. That's the other way. But you're partially right about that. I was going a different direction, but the direction I was going is they have a secret game they play where all companies do this, by the way. I forget what the exact term is of this. It's not a monopoly. It's like an oligopoly, I think, where basically you don't shit in my turf and I stay out of your turf. So for example, with airlines, there are some airports where only one airline flies there. And there's another airport, a different airline flies to that one because they've all made a deal.
Yes.
You stay away, United, Delta, America, stay out of our hubs. It's the same thing with internet. At home, my wife and I and kids have the absolute shittiest internet service you can imagine. What can we do about it?
Right.
What can we do? Nothing. Can we switch to another provider? No. You know why? It's only one provider. And if you go to Philadelphia, there's one provider. You go to Boston, and we're not a monopoly because they're in different parts of the country. So that's the sneaky stuff they do. So yeah, I believe there's probably secret stuff and military industrial complex and all that. But the story I told earlier of adaptive optics makes me hopeful. People like Mark and his work at Falcon Space make me hopeful that other people are going to rediscover the secret stuff. And now in the age of internet, it's impossible to stop everyone and bring everyone in. It's not going to happen. It's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic.
So do you think the Bob Lazar story is bullshit?
Complete.
Really?
Complete bullshit. And I hate to say it because I want it to be true, but everything that comes out of his mouth is so wrong. It's against science. Like, we discovered element 115 already. It has none of the properties he claims. And I feel like, so I've talked to people I know, like Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, that I trust, and and I've talked to people like that who said they've got a hypothesis. They think that Bob Lazar's purpose is disinformation, to say stuff that's so wrong that any scientist with half a brain cell knows immediately it's nonsense. Any physicist can listen to Bob Lazar and be like, yeah, he's not a real physicist, he's talking nonsense. And so everything he says is so wrong on so many levels. I could spend 3 hours on just Bob Lazar and debunking everything he said. Like, don't get me wrong, I wish he was real. I wish it was true. But he doesn't even get basic nuclear physics right. And come on, he never went to MIT. They erase the memories of all the professors?
Well,
it makes no sense.
There's a very reasonable explanation for that, for his records being erased. If he was
his records could be erased, but you can't erase the memory. The professor would be like, "Oh yeah, I had Bob in my class."
No, he wouldn't be in a public class. That's the point. If he was, there's lots of evidence of people going to MIT to work on military shit and weapon systems that were under the sanction of the Pentagon, and that were kept secret. I know, and had all the stuff expunged.
But if they open their mouth, they talk correct physics. So, for example, Eric Davis, he opens his mouth and correct physics comes out. Hal Puthoff opens his mouth. Correct things come out of his mouth. Bob Lazar opens his mouth
specifically
and nonsense
did he say, even if it was nonsense, he doesn't have to be like a PhD physicist to be usul to some of those programs.
Oh yeah, so I think there's a grain of truth in what Bob Lazar says, but I think he misheard some things, and he's saying some things wrong.
Maybe
that's what I think is happening. But you can't take everything he says as scientifically accurate because it doesn't work.
I don't think the idea is saying that he says a lot of bullshit or says a lot of wrong things about physics.
Yes,
I don't think that's a strong argument to him saying that his story's full of shit. You know, I think it's totally
I'm saying
plausible.
There's a grain of truth in there.
Right,
is what I'm saying. What I was saying was the physics is full of shit that he says. There could be a grain of truth. No, not maybe. For sure, his physics is wrong.
Even if what you're saying is correct, I think it's still totally plausible that some secret black program would want to get a guy like him in there to throw shit at the wall to see if maybe he can tinker around and figure something out that they haven't been able to figure out in 50 years.
That's true. That's possible. But but this is the problem. This is why we're not making progress.
Sure, because it's all secret. It's all compartmentalized. It's stovepipe.
Exactly. Stovepipe. If we really want to make progress, we would hire people like my friend Kevin. We'd hire smart, good scientists. We'd have Eric Davis. We'd have Hal Puthoff, who were not really part of the legacy program. They're on the outside. We would have smart people. We would have hundreds of people, like the Manhattan Project. We're not making progress. If there is a crash retrieval reverse engineering program, we're not going to make progress because there's too much stovepiping. There's too much compartmentalization.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But honestly, look, one part of me thinks that if Bob Lazar was totally on the up and up, he'd already be dead in the desert, like by quote unquote suicide.
He doxed himself. He came out and with that stuff with George Knapp in the early 90s, late 80s. I think that's what he was doing, probably trying to protect himself and get his stuff out there. And that's also, his background is a very discreditable background, like the stuff that he was doing running the brothels and all the crazy stuff he was doing. Well, some of that could be made up to suppress him. Some conspiracy people think that. It doesn't have to. I think a lot of it's very well. You can look up the court documents from his divorce to show that he was actually running these brothels. But
115 exists already. We found it has none of the properties he claims. There's no stable isotopes of it. And he claims he has a little bit of it left that he's keeping at home. Good. Send some to me. I can prove it's 115 in 20 seconds. That's not exaggeration, by the way. So
the problem with this stuff is you have people around him and around people like him that are just incentivized to use him as a mascot to make money and to make documentaries about him.
Exactly.
And to just further their own careers. And that's my thing about this whole topic is that it's just fucked from the beginning because you have the internet and you have people trying to make careers off of it.
Yes, exactly.
That muddies the waters even more.
I don't want to make any money. You know what the only money I want to make off UFOs is? The only money I want to make is to turn into equipment for research and a little bit of salary to survive. I don't want to become rich and famous. I just want enough to do my work with my friends like Kevin at UAlbany. But your point is very, very well taken. And remember what I said earlier. It's like the Fox Mulder poster. right? What does Fox Mulder's poster say? The X-Files. I want to believe, right?
Yeah.
I want to believe Bob Lazar's story, but the holes in it are so gigantic to me. Actually, this is why I'm never going to be invited back to Phenomicon.
Phenomicon?
You know about Phenomicon, right? No? It's in Utah. It's the like UFO Bigfoot. It's right next to Skinwalker Ranch.
It's a UFO Bigfoot convention?
And it's like all about Skinwalker Ranch as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Kevin and I pissed off the entire crowd because someone during Q&A asked about Bob Lazar in 115, and then we went on and on how Bob Lazar was wrong, he's full of shit, and it's impossible, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, we ticked off everybody.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I want to know the truth. I'm not going to believe some person who claims to be a whistleblower. That's why, for example, when Grusch came out, I tested his claims. I wrote that paper earlier. Remember, I said, if Grusch's claim of the crash rate is correct, I was going to see, okay, why don't we have evidence yet? I crunched the statistics, and I discovered, Grusch's claims are plausible. Doesn't prove they're right, but they're plausible. But right out of the gate, all of Lazar's claims are not plausible within physics and engineering. And I know people, I've talked to who are allegedly connected with the legacy. I have several people tell me, oh yeah, Bob Lazar is just disinformation agent to just say things that are so wrong, so that physicists like me and Kevin, but other than us, other physicists, they watch Bob Lazar and they not interested in jumping into UFO studies because they're like, that's so dumb and wrong that I'm not interested in participating. It's kind of like if you take anything that's fringe, considered pseudoscience, and you crank something up to 11, you're going to scare off well-meaning people who want to come in. And CIA is master at this, by the way. And like you want to scare off. So I often worry that Lazar might be some sort, people worry about the same thing about Lou Elizondo. It might be some sort of misinformation, disinformation campaign. The thing is, you can't believe anyone or anything, and that's what's so scary and it makes it so hard. But look, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope Bob Lazar is telling the truth, because to me, that means humanity has a future. Because if somebody else can figure out interstellar travel, we can figure it out. Like, that means there's a hopeful future. And so I want to be wrong about Bob, and I'd be happy to sit down with him privately and be like, hey, I'm sorry I said you're full of shit on the podcast. Please prove to me I'm wrong. Show me the facts. Prove to me. Talk to me as a scientist, right? He says he has a degree in science. Prove to me that I was wrong about you. And I'm open about it. I'm open-minded. But the thing is, I'm going to call a spade. And when I see massive amounts of evidence, problematic evidence stacking up that somebody is not telling the truth, I'm deeply concerned, especially when it comes to this UAP sphere of things.
Right.
But there was some podcast I was watching where I think Commander Fravor said, if I'm not mistaken, it was like friends with Bob Lazar. They have like barbecues together. And I'm like, I was starting to then like, I'm like, oh,
Fravor was saying that he was doing this.
Yeah. I think he was on Lex Friedman's podcast or another one. And I was like,
he said it seems like an interesting guy to be around.
Yeah, so I'm like, and so I was starting to feel bad. And I'm like, oh, maybe he's not full of shit. So like I said, I hope I'm wrong. But the problem is I know too much physics, and what he says is just so wrong.
I've gone back and forth on him. I believed him in the beginning, and then I stopped believing him for a while, and then I'm back on the Bob Lazar train now. I think
I'm on the Eric Davis train, actually. I'm going to claim something very bold. I'm one of the only people who's actually figured out what at least one alleged UFO crash part is for. So recently, I've actually, with my help of my friends Mark, who came up earlier, remember we played the YouTube video from him with the spinning, Thanks to my friends Mark and Jarrett, they're, aerospace guys who are doing anti-gravity research. They're the real guys who are actually trying to make anti-gravity reality. Nobody's, no Men in Black have killed them yet. You ask them, they're like, oh, it's a good day today, right? Because Men in Black haven't killed me yet today. But basically, thanks to them, I got a piece. It's known as the Art Part. Art Bell, Coast to Coast AM. Linda Moulton Howe also had this. So I got a fragment that's allegedly from New Mexico from 1947. And I've been doing material analysis on it. And I'm going to publish a paper on it, hopefully by the end of this year or next year. Then I'm going to print out that paper, and I want to shove it up the ass or down the throat of every single skeptic and debunker, because we found that that material is anomalous and discovered that the Arrow report on this material was a lie. It was a whitewash.
Wow.
They didn't list half of the elements in it. They didn't list any of the interesting isotopic configurations. Nothing. Gary Nolan knows this. A few people know this who have pieces of the mother sample. There was a big sample. I only got a fragment of it.
Right.
And I developed a whole new technique. I developed a new way of testing what something is made of faster and cheaper.
You did?
Yes, I did, than existing techniques. Yes. And so I'm hoping that people start sending me like actual parts. I can determine whether something is terrestrial or extraterrestrial.
How?
By the isotopic ratio.
Okay.
So everything is made of elements, and each of those elements has isotopes, but the isotopic ratios are unique to different planets, different parts of the galaxy. Still doesn't conclusively prove something's extraterrestrial, because a skeptic could always say, oh, it was part of a nuclear test and it changed the isotopic composition. Sure.
Right.
But what I can demonstrate is whether something is weird. I know that's very vague, but I can demonstrate whether something's weird, whether it's anomalous, or whether it's boring. Like, oh, this is just a hunk of aluminum.
That reminds me, are you familiar with there was some sort of material with a certain configuration of isotopes that was found in in the middle of like nuclear blasts that they found that matched the exact type of material they found on Mars? Have you ever heard of this?
I have not heard of this. Oh, so maybe we created it by accident.
Giorgiani was remember this, Steve, when Giorgiani was talking about this?
Oh, are you talking about the possibility there was like a nuclear war back in the day on Mars?
This was his theory, but the hard evidence that he explained to back this up was that there was some sort of material with isotopes that were found on in nuclear blast sites.
Yes. I definitely heard of this.
That matched specific isotopes they configure like.
You're talking about the Mars
place.
I know who you're talking about because he's one of the co-stars on a show I'm on, actually. The proof is out there on the History Channel.
Okay.
And there's the Mars guy. I know who you're talking about, the guy who thinks that there was a civilization on Mars.
John Brandenburg theory suggests that the red color of Mars could be evidence of catastrophic. But what's
Xenon 129?
Xenon 129. That's what it is.
Funny coincidence. Remember, I use xenon to look for dark matter, right?
Right.
So that's just a coincidence.
Right. So what does it say? So Giordani claims
Cydonia. Yes. So I don't think it's Brandenburg, but one of his associates. There's a guy who's head of the Cydonia Society, who's a co-star on The Proof Is Out There with me.
Oh, so this is what the theory. So Xenon 129 is consistent across the entire solar system except for on Mars.
Yes, so that we're talking about isotopic ratios. Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that there are unique signatures in different locations. Yeah, Mars is a problem, but exactly. But my point is that I want to look at the isotopic ratios. I'm using a non-destructive technique to determine the composition of a material. I'll tell you though, so far, I've only gotten one potentially anomalous thing. Most of the things is UFO, crazy people send me, it's a meteorite, or it's a piece of an airplane. So most of the time, unfortunately, it's boring. But finally, thanks to knowing the right people and being patient, I finally got a piece of something that's really interesting. And and let's see how silent the mainstream media is going to be on this. I'm going to publish later this year definitive evidence that the government lied about this material and published a whitewash report claiming it was not anomalous when they knew better. And I have definitive proof that it's anomalous, that it's strange. I don't have proof it's extraterrestrial, to be clear. Not yet. But it's weird. And they claim it's not weird. Oh, it's a boring piece of whatever. Slag. It's like, no, it's not.
When is this coming out?
I'm hoping by the end of the year.
End of the year.
Because here's the thing. I don't want to get gate kept past test. I want to get all my ducks in a row. I want to double check it. I want to triple check it. I want to quadruple check it before I submit it for scientific peer review. Because what I don't want to happen is I want it to be perfect. I want it to be an airtight case. So like I said, I can publish the paper in a major scientific journal and then shove it in the face of people who have been poo-pooing UFOs for years. I'm sick and tired of them. I'm sick and tired of Neil deGrasse Tyson going out there saying, "Oh, it's all nonsense. Oh, aliens. Oh, blah blah blah. What if they invite?" You know what I'm tempted to do? I could totally pull this off to get his attention. It's very hard to get his attention because I'm not important. I'm at an unimportant university. I'm not trying to be rich and famous. I'm not at Harvard. I'm not at Stanford. Just to get under his skin, what I'm hoping to be able to do. So I've actually been working with Neil deGrasse Tyson's high school, where he graduated, because I've been reviewing their physics courses, because I'm part of the UAlbany in the high school program, the university and high school program, where they're doing college course at university level. One of them is Neil deGrasse Tyson's alma mater, the high school he graduated from. So here's what I'm thinking. I was going to go to the principal. I'm still thinking of doing this. I might seriously do this. Be like, hey, can I give a talk on UFOs? And do this at Neil deGrasse Tyson's high school that he went to school at, get it in the newspaper, get it all over mainstream media, to the point where he's like, who's this Matthew guy? Where he's finally forced to pay attention.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's my goal, just to get under his skin, because I'm sick and tired of him claiming there's no physical evidence. Well, then what the fuck am I testing in my lab? That's not an eyewitness account. It's not a video. I have a piece of material that is not easy to explain. That's physical evidence, okay? So I'm sick and tired of people like Neil deGrasse Tyson saying there's no physical evidence. Yes, there is. There's Delphos, Kansas. There's all these alleged UFO crashes and landings where there is physical evidence that's been subjected to chemical testing. And there are evidence of anomalies. Just talk to Gary Nolan. Talk to Jacques Vallée. There is physical evidence from some cases. But if you close your eyes and you stuff your fingers in your ears like all the dogmatic people do and play la 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 la, I'm not listening, then you're not going to see any of the evidence. You're not going to see Kevin's paper that we talked about earlier that shows the Tic Tac could have crossed the galaxy in 6 months, and nobody cares. Nobody reads the paper. Nobody understands. It's insane. So I work on the LZ dark matter experiment, which is deployed underground in South Dakota. It's the world's largest and best dark matter experiment. So I'm an astroparticle physicist.
Okay, can you explain what that dark matter experiment is and how it works?
Sure. So I should probably start by explaining what dark matter itself is. So it's a hypothetical form of matter that we are very, very sure exists because we have indirect evidence, observational evidence from astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology, primarily through gravity. So we know there's more matter than we can see, and we know it's not made of the same particles, constituents as ordinary matter. And so one of the ways to look for dark matter is you actually you create particle detectors. You deploy them deep underground, because the idea is dark matter would pass through the Earth unimpeded, like neutrinos and similar particles, and interact with your detector. So in the LZ detector, we use a gigantic bucket, basically, or it's a thermos, actually. The formal term is cryostat, of liquid xenon. So xenon's a very good element because it produces light when external particles interact with it. And so you get flashes of light whenever you have external particles, external radiation interact with the xenon. So we have this deployed about almost a mile underground in South Dakota.
Wow. Are there any images of this we can see? Like that gives you like a good, how big is it?
Absolutely. So it's 10 ton scale liquid xenon detector. It's about I'm a scientist, so I use meters. So just multiply by 3 for feet, or just pretend I'm saying yards. So it's like 1.5 meters high.
Is it similar to yards? Are meters and yards?
Yeah, extremely similar. So it's 1.5 meters tall by 1.5 meters wide, roughly. But that's inside of a water tank and several other layers of shielding, because we want to be sure if we have a detection that it's dark matter, not something else. So it has a lot of layers of shielding. So actually, we've got some images coming up right now.
Wow.
So you can see the diagram from Smithsonian there. There's a diagram of how it works right there. So a particle comes in, produces a flash of light, as well as loosens some electrons off of the atom. So we actually get 2 signals. First, a flash of light, primary flash of light in the liquid, and then a secondary flash of light up top from the electrons that got ripped out. So the time between the 2 signals gives us the depth of the event, and the hit pattern of the light gives us the radial position. So we have 3-dimensional position reconstruction of any incoming particles that interact with the detector.
And what does this tell you specifically about dark matter?
Well, we're looking for something extra beyond the ordinary particles that are going to constantly interact, like just gamma rays and just betas and radiation from the environment. So we're looking for something extra that is going to be above the constant noise of the regular, old school particles we know and love. So here's a picture of the actual experiment. It's actually made of, it's white because it's made of Teflon, because Teflon actually reflects ultraviolet light. And so that helps bounce the light into the photosensors at the top and the bottom. So we're hoping that a particle of dark matter comes in, bumps into an atom of xenon, and makes a flash of light that we can detect reproducibly.
How many particles of dark matter have you seen?
None.
None yet.
No, so when I say we're the world's best dark matter experiment, it's because we've measured zero better than anybody else. So we actually, you would hear about it from the mainstream media if we had actually made a discovery. Because
this would be a front page material, huh?
Potentially, just like the gravitational waves discovery was with LIGO a few years ago. So it would be a big deal.
So dark matter is just a theory.
That word is misused. So in science, theory means fact. So the phrase just a theory is one of those things that like raises like my skin, because there's no such thing. So a theory in science means incontrovertible fact. The
theory?
Yes. When non-scientists use the word theory, they mean hypothesis. So dark matter is a very well-established theory in the sense that even though we don't have direct evidence, we have so many mountains of observational evidence that very few people doubt that there's something there.
Got it. So for now, it's just a hypothesis.
Yeah, well, it's kind of in a gray area towards theory because it's got so much indirect evidence in its favor. So it's sort of like people will refer to it as a dark matter theory. I prefer hypothesis because we don't have conclusive observation in the lab yet.
And don't we also have another hypothesis that dark matter has mass to it?
Oh, no, that's guaranteed.
Oh, that's guaranteed.
That's not separate. It has to have mass because otherwise it can't produce gravity.
And that was because when we observed galaxies, we noticed that the center of the galaxy has the same spin rate as the rim of the galaxy, meaning that there's like mass that's flattening the spin rate. Is that
No, not
close?
quite. Not quite. So at high radius, there's a flattening when there should be a dropping off. So for example, take a Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune is going to be orbiting the sun more slowly than the Earth. Okay, that's just a natural consequence of the law of gravity.
Farther away.
Yes. However, what we see in galaxies is that the farther out you go, we didn't see that drop off. And that's been attempted to be explained without dark matter, without additional mass. There are theories of modified gravity, but the vast majority really don't work because they can't explain why, for example, you have galaxies apparently that we've discovered over the last several years that seem to be 100%, almost 100% dark matter and 0%. So that really implies that dark matter is stuff, and you can have more stuff and less stuff.
So the farther out you get into the galaxy, the stuff is spinning at the same speed as the stuff that's close to the galaxy.
Yeah, instead of dropping off, which would be natural.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it builds up. So there's slow speeds at the center. Then it builds up because you've got more mass essentially underneath you, effectively. And so the speed builds up, but there should be a peak and then a drop off. But we don't see that expected drop off that's predicted from both Newtonian mechanics as well as relativity.
And dark matter is just like theoretically all around us, and it's just the invisible stuff that we don't see because it's electromagnetically indetectable, right? Like, so dark matter would be all around us right now?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's in this room. Well, it also depends on the number density. We don't know what the number density is. So dark matter, individual dark matter particles might be very rare. We think we know the average energy density, but we don't know like how many dark matter particles are there per unit volume necessarily. We can only guess that.
What are your thoughts on the John Wheeler "It from Bit" stuff?
Oh, you mean how everything is
like
computational?
Ones and zeros, and like the dark matter is like computation, like a computational, cloud of ones and zeros, like atom. Like the idea is everything is a yes or no, right? If you like boil everything down, atoms and protons and neutrons down to everything, it could be binary bits, right? Is that basically what "It from Bit" is?
Yeah, but I completely disagree because with quantum mechanics, you have something in between 0 and 1. That's the whole point behind qubits in quantum computers, is that you have more than just 0 and 1 now for the first time. And so I think that it's interesting speculation and philosophy, but also I'm an experimental physicist. I want to know what testable prediction can an idea make. If an idea doesn't have a testable prediction, then it's not a scientific theory. John Wheeler did a lot of excellent science, outstanding, but he also did a lot of philosophizing, kind of, metaphysics. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a testable prediction, I'm agnostic towards something. I don't know what to think about.
Yeah, I don't know how you would test that.
Yeah.
And you're saying quantum computing would render that irrelevant, or render that?
Well, he'd probably disagree, because he'd say, well, it's still bits all the way down. But the thing is, with quantum computing, you have the ability to have indeterminate states.
Okay.
It is true that once you make a measurement, everything is still spin up or spin down, 0 or 1, but you also have the indeterminate states that exist prior to measurements, Schrodinger's cat and all that stuff. So that's why I'm not really comfortable with that oversimplistic assessment. I would say that everything is 0s and 1s, because I think we're ignoring what fractions, we're ignoring, rational, irrational numbers. Pi is irrational number. It's not 0 or 1. So I just think that's kind of an oversimplification, and the world is a lot more nuanced. A lot of supposed theories of everything really grossly oversimplify the world into one sentence and miss a lot of the nuance that's hard to explain with some of the simplistic ideas.
Yeah.
There is occasionally something that was considered pseudoscience turns out to be correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 6 examples, or maybe
6?
more. I can give you a few more, probably. Oh, you want more, or is that too few?
I can do 6.
Okay. Germs. There's no such thing as germs. Did you know that there were doctors? I'm saying this is what people would say. There were doctors who would literally go from delivering a baby to an autopsy without washing their hands to prove to all those idiot doctors who believe in germs and washing hands. I'm like, okay. Germs were pseudoscience at one point. Well, it gets better. Relativity was pseudoscience at one point. Einstein was insulted repeatedly as a crackpot, as a pseudoscientist. In Germany, you know what they said to him? Oh, that's Jewish science. In the UK, you know what they said? Oh, that's German science. Remember, there's World War I, so the UK, they hated Germans. So to the British, Einstein was German, and to the Germans, but my point, continental drift. Oh, yeah. Here's another one. Did you know that Ludwig von Boltzmann committed suicide because he was so deeply insulted by academia and the scientific community? They ruined his career. Because you know why? He dared to say that atoms are real and that atoms exist. And he was driven to suicide. So there's atoms, germs, relativity, continental drift, meteors. Meteors, another great example. Did you know that for a long time people laughed? Oh, meteors. Rocks don't fall from the sky. Those are just, crazy people telling you stories. What does all this sound like to you? Doesn't this sound like a lot like UFOs?
People didn't believe that at one point?
Meteors for centuries. Scientists used to laugh at meteors. That's nonsense. It wasn't until the 19th century, the 1800s, until finally the French figured out, oh, wait, meteors aren't made up. They're real.
When did we, I'd be curious to know when we came up with the explanation for the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Oh, it was recent. When I was a
really
kid,
recent?
we were still debating. We still didn't know until we found the crater in the Yucatan. And then it was like game over. Then it was obvious. We were still arguing, was it disease? Was it this? And then we found it was in the 90s, I think. I was a kid when we finally figured out, oh, yeah, it was a giant rock that fell from the sky.
It's crazy how recent a lot of these big mainstream discoveries have happened.
People used to make fun of the idea that a meteor killed the dinosaurs. People used to think that was pseudoscience.
What do they think? How do they think they got killed?
Oh, they just argued about that was disease. It was some random plague or something. Yeah. But I'll tell you this. Do you know what separates, in my opinion, but it's kind of an expert opinion, but that's what my opinion. What separates science and pseudoscience? I have an answer that'll differ from any other answer you'll hear.
Ideology.
No. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Because people can label real
No.
science pseudoscience
No.
just to fit their
That's
narrative.
misuse of the label.
Yes.
I'm saying what separates actual pseudoscience from actual science, not what's
Well,
nonsense.
how do you define pseudoscience?
Very easy. I'm glad you asked. That's what I was about to say. Okay, if you test your idea and your idea doesn't work, you abandon it. You don't double down. That's the difference between a scientist and a pseudoscientist. It's not about ideology. Has nothing to do with ideology. Nothing. That is what the gatekeepers use.
Yes.
It's not about ideology. Real pseudoscience is when you've been disproven and you won't shut up. That's pseudoscience. Real science is where, and when something that's called pseudoscience isn't pseudoscience, it's when you have the proof, but your ideology blinds you to see that. Continental drift, atoms, these are all examples of that.
Yeah.
So that is the difference. If 20 years from now, it turns out 100% of the CMB, going back to other things, like was the early light, it was not saying, I'm like, oh, you know what? Great, I was wrong.
Right.
Because the proof came up, I'm not going to double down because I'm like, oh yeah, that's proven wrong.
Right.
But a pseudoscientist, when confronted with facts, will double down on the incorrect idea that's already been disproven over and over and over and over again. Because they're like, no, you didn't do it right. You got to tweak the experiment a little bit. No, it's going to work. I've got the anti-gravity. You didn't do it right. So that's the difference. But it's misapplied. The term is misapplied in the modern age to shut down rational discourse and silence critics.
Yes.
So I'm not interested in ideology. Neither is my friend Kevin. We're interested, what do the facts say? What does the data say? Do you have data to support your claim? If so, let me see it. Baghdad Battery, great example. There's support of that claim. If you don't have support in your claim, go away. Come back to me when you have proof and I will listen to you. I won't shut you out. But if you're going to just make stuff up without evidence, I don't want to hear it. I don't have to hear it. So that's the difference between science versus pseudoscience as an ideology versus how it should actually be honestly applied. You shouldn't use insults as a way to shut your critics up.
Yeah.
That's not how rational discourse works.
100%. But unfortunately, that's the way discourse happens online these days.
Online is a toy. Like, never read the comments on a YouTube video.
The internet and X are the best thing for the government that has ever existed because it makes it so much easier for them to keep secrets.
Because you can't tell what's the truth anymore.
Exactly.
There's so much
it's just
noise.
a cauldron of bullshit.
Do you know I'm not on social media?
Oh, good for you.
I don't have X. I have a Facebook page that I look at once a year because it's historical. I got peer pressured into joining Facebook when it was new. So I have Facebook. I never had Twitter. Don't have X because you know what? I have better things to do.
It
with
can
my
be
time.
fun.
It can be fun.
It can
but
be
here's the
fun to
thing.
like peek in. It's like going to Vegas.
Yeah. Well,
Like the best parts about going to Vegas are the day you arrive and the day you leave. It's like the same thing with like looking in. Sometimes you can just like peek in and like look around, like especially UFO Twitter. I don't know if you ever heard of UFO Twitter, but this is a thing. It's a community. On Twitter.
I've been insulted already by UFO Twitter repeatedly. People tell me secondhand.
It's crazy. Everybody's a Fed. Everybody is working for the deep state.
I've heard it all.
And this is one of the greatest things, one of the greatest ways to dismiss people is to call them a Fed and to say that they're working for the CIA or whoever.
Oh, Jack Sarfati said I was a Russian agent. I've had that.
He's friends with Russia.
Now he's friends with Russia. I know.
He brags that Putin.
I know.
Putin invited me to Russia 16 times.
No, he didn't. And Trump did not invite him to Mar-a-Lago. And so look, like I said, look, if Jack is listening to this, if you take me off your email list, Jack, I will proclaim to everyone you are the greatest scientist who ever lived. I will do anything if you just stop fucking emailing me.
Jack.
But
just block it if you don't want.
I can't.
You can't?
You know why? Because he CCs everyone instead of BCC. He doesn't have an email list. So anytime anyone else replies,
you get it.
I'm back on the list.
There's got to be technology. We can't. We're that low tech. We can't figure out how to block Jack Sarfati email chains.
But anyway, let's not go off on that tangent. Before Jack, where were we going?
I forgot.
You had asked me something important.
What did I ask him, Steve?
Y'all were talking about pseudoscience.
No. We finished that.
Oh, we were talking about like UFO Twitter and like discourse.
Yes. Yes, I was saying I've been called a Russian agent. It was said that I work with child. Like, you should see the stuff But you know,
A lot of prominent physicists went to Epstein Island. I don't know if you know that.
yeah, but not me, right? But I was like a fetus.
You're a little too young.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so anyway, my point is, but you know how I look at that? I look at it as a positive. You know why? There's an old saying in the military: if you're catching flack, that means you're over the target. So if I'm catching shit and Kevin's catching shit, I'm like, good. That means we're pushing buttons. That means we're asking the wrong questions. That means we're actually getting closer to the truth.
Sure.
So I don't care what anyone says about me on X. Like I said, I don't even have an account. So all I hear is secondhand, oh, hey, Matthew, you know what they said about you on social media? I'm like, I don't care. I've got science to do. I've got real work to do rather than know what some, some 13-year-old in his mom's basement thinks about me and my work on UFOs. I don't care.